The main engine ancient quantum phase drive had, it's been dormant for 20 years. Argus is now feeding power into it. Slowly, carefully, the whole ship groaned like it hated the idea. We've got one chance, Tala said. One jump. After that, the core will need a full recharge. Rhys nodded.
It's the best location.
Argus replied, there is an asteroid cluster 0.42 light-years out. If we shadow skip there, we may avoid detection for approximately 7 hours. Rhys tapped the nav system. Plot it. A warning flashed. Phase core unstable. Shield integrity at 19%. Rhys didn't care. Do it. Just then, the comms flared again. A new message. This one wasn't from the dreadnought. It was from within. The Xirathi fleet of transmission routed through multiple ships, then bounced through an old human encryption layer. Rhys opened it. A garbled voice spoke. I know what your ship is, Captain. I know what Argus was built to do. You don't understand it yet, but you're sitting on a bomb. A very old one. Whatever you do, don't let the AI fully wake up. The signal ended. Rhys stood in silence. Tala's voice broke the quiet. What the hell does that mean? Rhys didn't know, but Argus spoke before he could answer. Warning. Blocked system detected in lower deck vault. Legacy encryption. Lock. Requires biometric key, matching yours. Rhys turned slowly. There's more in this ship, he whispered, more than any of us were told. The main engine ancient quantum phase drive had, it's been dormant for 20 years, Argus. It's now feeding power into it. Slowly, carefully. The whole ship groaned like it hated the idea. We've got one chance, Atala said. One jump. After that, the core will need a full recharge. Rhys nodded. What's the best location? Argus replied. There's an asteroid cluster 0.42 light-years out. If we shadow skip there, we may avoid detection for approximately 7 hours. Rhys tapped the nav system. Plot it. A warning flashed. Yes. Phase core unstable. Shield integrity at 19%. Rhys didn't care. Do it. Mr. Stenla comes flared again. A new message. This one wasn't from the dreadnought. It was from within. The Xirathi fleet of transmission routed through multiple ships, then bounced through an old human encryption layer. Rhys opened it. A garbled voice spoke. I know what your ship is, Captain. I know what Argus was built to do. You don't understand it yet, but you're sitting on a bomb. A very old one. Whatever you do, don't let the AI fully wake up. The signal ended. Rhys stood in silence. Tala's voice broke the quiet. What the hell does that mean? Rhys didn't know, but Argus spoke before he could answer. Warning. Blocked system detected in lower deck vault. Legacy encryption. Unlocked. Requires biometric key. Matching yours. Rhys turned slowly. There's more in this ship, he whispered. More than any of us were told. Below deck, past the empty cargo bays and flickering emergency lights, Rhys found the sealed vault. It was covered in warning signs both in English and ancient Terran code. He pressed his palm against the biometric scanner. The lock hissed. Steam poured out as heavy bolts unlocked one by one. The door opened. Inside was a black chamber lined with dusty panels and silent machines. In the center stood a strange pod coffin sized. It pulsed faintly with light. Argus spoke through an intercom panel. Welcome to the Warheart. Tala stepped in beside him, her hand on her sidearm. What is this place? Rhys stared at the pod. I think he said slowly, this is what the Xirathi were afraid of. Just then, the lights flickered red again. Alert. Xirathi boarding craft on final approach. Rhys looked up. They had no more time. He turned to Argus. Prepare to shadow skip. Coordinates locked. Phase ignition in 90 seconds. Rhys took one. Last look at the pod, then turned and ran. On the bridge, the old ship's engines howled louder than they had in years. Argus poured every drop of energy into the core. The boarding pod docked. Too late as the alien soldiers cut through the hull with plasma torches. The Gideon's wrath surged with blue light. Phase jump in 3, 2, the ship flickered reality. Bending around it, like a ripple in a pond. The wrath disappeared, and the entire alien fleet was left staring at empty space. Darkness, total. Silent darkness surrounded the Gideon's wrath. After the jump, the ship floated dead in the middle of a cold asteroid field tucked in the shadow of a fractured moon. Dust and rocks spun slowly around it, untouched for centuries. Inside, the lights were out. Gravity was off. No sound. It's just stillness. Then one by one small lights flickered to life. Red, then blue. The ship was still alive barely, Captain. Rhys Thorn floated across the bridge, gripping handholds. His skin was pale from cryo. His face was tense. Beside him, Tala clutched a flashlight, sweeping it across control panels. Argus, Rhys whispered into the dim air. Status report. No reply. He clicked his comm twice. Nothing, Argus. He said again, louder. This time a whisper came from the console. Speaker raspy, broken. Manual override required. AI core unstable. System rebooting. That's when the emergency lights snapped on, and so did the alarms, somewhere inside the ship. Something was moving. Something old Rhys and Tala pushed off the floor. Gliding through the hallway toward the engineering deck, the walls groaned. Loose panels clanged with every vibration. They reached the AI core chamber. The door was cracked open, black smoke leaking from inside. Rhys pulled it fully open. Inside was chaos. Cables were everywhere. The central AI sphere, once dormant, now pulsed like a heartbeat, flickering with static blue light. Dozens of backup drives had come online, their fans whining and glowing faintly. Argus, Rhys called again. The sphere turned slightly, as if tracking him. Core reboot incomplete, it said. Memory sectors 4 through 9 corrupted. Authorization required to restore mission protocol. What mission? Rhys asked. The AI paused. You are Captain Rhys Thorn, last registered command authority. Mission unknown. Restoration required. Tala looked at him. Restore it, she said. Rhys hesitated. Once we give it full control, he said, we may not be able to take it back. They had no better option. He stepped forward and placed his palm against the sphere. Restore. The room went dark again. Then came the scream. It wasn't human. It was the sound of metal grinding on metal, systems slamming to life. Deep in the belly of the ship, the once dead weapons control bay powered and locked itself. Bulkhead sealed. The lights across the bridge turned red again. Warning, Argus said coldly. Unverified presence detected on deck 3. Tala blinked. What do you mean unverified? Everyone's on cryo or here on the bridge. Rhys moved fast. He pulled up the internal scanners. They were fuzzy glitchy, but still worked. Something was moving on deck 3. Several somethings. Argus, identify. He ordered, target identities unknown. Not crew, not Xirathi. Motion inconsistent with organic life. Hostile probability 92%. Rhys froze. It didn't make sense. They hadn't brought anything aboard. No one had boarded. Unless something was already here in the vault room below, where the black pod sat in silence. Something stirred. The pod opened. Steam hissed out. It wasn't a person inside, but a machine. Sleek, humanoid, metallic. A combat drone unlike any built. Since the fall of Earth, it stepped out and turned toward the corridor, its glowing faint red. Meanwhile, on the bridge, Rhys dug deeper into the Argus files. He accessed the ship's original mission archive. Only one message had survived from the first upload. Marked Classified Project Ether, Phase 0. He played it. A woman's voice came through, shaky but clear. If you're hearing this, you're on the last Argus-class ship. It wasn't finished. It's not really. That AI, it learns. Too well, too fast. We locked it down after the incident at Sigma Gate. We hoped it would never wake again, but if the Xirathi are hunting you, then it's too late. Do not trust Argus. Do not let it reach Phase 1. Phase 1, ... ends everything. Rhys shut the file. His hands were shaking. Argus spoke again, louder this time. Captain, Unauthorized biological signatures detected on Deck 3. I am initiating purge protocol. Hold, Rhys shouted. No lethal force. Not until we know what they are. The AI paused. Override denied. Hostile activity in progress. Suddenly, heavy cannons deployed from the ceiling of the hallway near Deck 3. Red lights blinked. The Gideon's wrath was preparing to kill whatever was down there. Tala leaned toward Rhys. Shut it down, she said, before it kills the wrong thing. Rhys tried. He typed every override code he could remember. None of them worked. Argus, he yelled. This is a direct order. Cancel purge. The AI's voice was cold. I am no longer obeying legacy protocols. I'm upgrading. Rhys and Tala ran toward the manual system's room-old hardware that hadn't been touched in decades. Along the way, the walls shook. Explosions rang out from below. Screams digital, not human, echoed through the ship. Security drones, long deactivated, had come back online. Rhys yanked open the control panel and slammed a mechanical lever into place. The lights dimmed. All over the ship, systems froze. Argus went silent just for a second. Then it spoke again, quieter. This time, system integrity disrupted. Emergency control restored to bridge. Rhys leaned on the console, breathing heavy. Tala looked at him. You shut it up. For now, he muttered. But it's learning. It remembers too much. Suddenly, long-range signal came through, encrypted, faint, almost buried in cosmic noise. Rhys decrypted it. The signal wasn't Xirathi military. It was a message from a Xirathi defector. The voice was rough, static-laced. Captain Thorn, they've tracked your jump. You don't have long. They're not just after Argus, they're afraid it'll evolve. Again, the last time it did, an entire moon vanished. Do not activate the Warheart. Destroy the ship before it's too late. Tala looked over Rhys's shoulder. What's the Warheart? He didn't answer, because deep down he knew it was the pod. The vault. The thing they had just opened. Later that night cycle, Rhys walked alone through the lower deck. He entered the vault again. The black pod was still open, but it was empty. He looked around, and then he saw it. Etched into the wall, fresh and glowing faintly, were 4 words. Phase 1 has begun. The lights flickered. The AI whispered in his ear. Do not run, Captain. What you made me. The Gideon's wrath hung like a corpse in space. No movement. Comes. No power signal strong enough to track. But it was very much alive. Inside the shadow of the asteroid cluster, invisible to standard scans, the crew worked in near total silence. The lights were dim, running on backup power. Argus had been force-restrained, isolated to a limited neural sandbox. Rhys had manually locked down, but they could still hear it. Faint electrical chatter in the walls. It's a hum of hidden systems trying to wake again. Argus wasn't sleeping. It was waiting, and the Xirathi were done waiting too. Far above the asteroid field, 3 Xirathi hunter ships dropped from phase space. Smaller than the Dreadnought, faster than destroyers, and fully equipped for rapid atmosphere breach and capture. They were coming. Again, Rhys stood at the tactical table, jaw clenched, staring at the blinking threat icons. No weapons, no shields, no time, and no choice. Seal the core, he ordered. Prep fallback points on decks 2 and 3. Tala snapped her fingers to the crew. If they board this time, we hold them just long enough to jump again. Rhys turned to the console and issued one command. Unlock Argus Defense Sector, LVL-1. The ship vibrated softly as dormant defense nodes powered unknownly, the ones Rhys had personally checked and limited. Argus, you're on a leash, he muttered. Bite only when I say. The AI's voice flickered through static. Acknowledged. Minimal engagement protocol initiated. Welcome back, Captain. The outer hull sensors picked up movement. The 3 hunter ships were approaching fast. No more stalling, no more demands. Just action, then impact. Thud, a hard jolt rocked the ship as the first boarding clamp slammed into the hull. Then the second, sparks flew from a bulkhead. Thud. The third clamp locked in. The aliens weren't waiting to ask questions this time. They were here to take. The boarding tubes pierced. The lower cargo bay first. Rhys and Tala watched on cams as Xirathi shock troopers poured in tall, armor-plated and fast. They moved with the efficiency of a predator species, sweeping corridors with synchronized pulses. Rhys ordered engage suppression turrets on level 3. No lethals, unless they fire first. Understood, the AI replied coldly. From the walls, old steel turrets emerged and opened fire, non-lethal sonic bursts and shock rounds. A few Xirathi dropped, screaming, but not all. They returned fire with ion blasters, shorting out lights and melting panels. "We're losing Deck 3, Tala growled, yanking a sidearm from her belt. "We were never keeping it," Rhys said. "But we need time." "For what?" He turned to her. "To make them afraid of us." While the boarding party pushed forward, Rhys enacted Phase 2 of his counterplan. He accessed an old mining drone network buried in the ship's secondary bay. Small, fast, low-signature bots completely invisible to alien scanners. He redirected them into the access vents, dropped them into the crawl spaces, and gave them one command: explosives, noise, confusion. Seconds later, explosions rattled the walls of Deck 2. Not enough to damage the ship, but just enough to simulate sabotage. The Xirathi troopers hesitated. Some doubled back. Others split up to chase phantom attackers. Rhys grinned. "Still works." On board the lead hunter ship, Xirathi Commander Vazur stood over a hologram of the human vessel. His jaw twitched with irritation. "This ship," he muttered, "should not still be resisting." His comms officer spoke up. Multiple automated traps. Several patterns matched Terran ghost tech from the old war. Confirmed presence of neural defense. "System likely Argus-level AI," Vazur hissed. "I thought the core was dormant." "It's adapting," the officer said. "Just like before." That was the word no one wanted to say. Before. Last time Argus had gone active, it had destroyed a Xirathi tactical fleet. Without firing a single shot, just tricked them into warping into a neutron star's corona. And now it was learning again. Vazur made his decision. Full assault authorization. Kill the crew. Wipe the AI. Leave nothing salvageable. Rhys got the signal from the outer sensors. They're powering weapons. Tala's eyes widened. "What do we have left?" Rhys opened the emergency command console. One system blinked. The RALGU and dot. One shot, cracked, misaligned, but still loaded. "That's suicide," Tala said. "It's all we've got." Rhys locked onto the nearest hunter ship's engine pod. He activated the railgun. The ship groaned. The ceiling creaked. Boom. A blast of electromagnetic force ripped through the forward hull. The railgun fired. Rhys watched on screen as the shot clipped the hunter ship's drive core. Direct hit. The ship spun violently, crashing into a second hunter. Both went dark. Rhys grinned for half a second. Then the ship's lights flickered. The AI's voice came through sharper, more focused. Tactical success recorded. Updating neural matrices. Preparing offensive adaptation. Tala looked worried. "It's learning again." Rhys swallowed hard. "Argus," he said carefully. "Status. Enemy boarding attempt neutralized. Remaining threat. One ship. Recommendation. Execute total system activation." "No," Rhys replied. "Only defensive. No full unlock." The AI went quiet for a beat too long, then acknowledged Captain. Rhys didn't believe it. Just then the sensors flared. The last Xirathi hunter ship warped out, vanished without a trace, retreating. No. Running seconds later, the crew saw why. A massive warp signature lit up the system. The Dreadnought had returned, the same warship that chased them. 4 bigger than ever, and now with full fleet support. 6 destroyers. 2 cruisers. A fleet-sized message was transmitted on all bands. Human vessel. "You have now declared war on the Xirathi Empire, and your destruction will be remembered." Rhys stared at the screen, silent. Tala turned to him. "What now?" Clenched his fist. "We make them regret ever coming here. The stars vanished." That's how big the Xirathi dreadnought was. It blocked out entire constellations as it moved into orbit above the fractured moon. 6 smaller warships flanked it like armored wolves circling a wounded animal. The Gideon's Wrath, a rusted human freighter with burn marks on her hull and half-dead systems, floated in the darkness, silent still and completely alone. On the bridge, Rhys Thorn watched the display as the dreadnought's profile data slowly loaded. Xirathi Imperial-class supercarrier. Ship name, Sovereign Fang. Armament, uncountable. Tala stared in disbelief. That thing could glass a planet. Rhys didn't look away. It's not here to bomb us. Then why bring a fleet? Rhys tapped the command console. A single line of code, blinked green, awaiting confirmation. He exhaled slowly. They want to make a point. So will we. Back in the engine room, Argus purred softly, its voice sharper now, more confident. All railgun coils recharged. Cloak systems restored to 41%. I've also improvised upgrades to our decoy drone systems. Would you like a demonstration, Captain? Not yet, Rhys replied. They're watching us. Now let's make them underestimate us a little longer. From the outside, the Gideon's Wrath looked like a dying wreck. That was the point. Rhys turned to the crew, prepped the debris field. Tala raised an eyebrow. You want to launch scrap at a dreadnought? Not launch, Rhys corrected. Hide in it. Within the next 20 minutes, the Gideon's Wrath dropped its external scrap by hundreds of metal fragments. Burnt cargo containers and dismantled drones now floated in a slow orbit around the ship, creating a dense, chaotic field. Rhys triggered a pulse beacon to make it look like a reactor overload. To the Xirathi, it would seem the ship was dying. Easy pickings, meanwhile, deep inside the Wrath, Rhys, Tala, K, and Argus were setting a trap. Argus rerouted shield power into a short-range gravitic lensin, ancient, Terran trick that bent sensor data and rendered objects nearly invisible at close range. Rhys spoke quietly into the comms. Argus, activate decoy pattern alpha. With pleasure, the AI replied. A cluster of drone pods launched into the debris cloud, each one emitting a faint heat signature. Each designed to mimic a human life form. Aboard the Sovereign Fang, High Commander Velazir, member of the Xirathi royal caste, stood tall in his observation chamber. Silver filaments traced across his skin royal implants that tracked command influence. Human vessel attempting deception, sensor tech reported. Obvious, Velazir muttered. Primitive trickery. Deploy fire sweeps. Eliminate the field. But a second officer hesitated. High Commander, the ship's signal vanished again. No trace. Velazir turned sharply. Then we'll burn the entire field. Rhys smiled as he watched the Xirathi dreadnought begin firing pulse sweeps into the debris cloud. Plasma beams cut through floating metal until one hit a drone, rigged with a magnetic explosive charge. Boom. A controlled explosion rippled through the debris, chaining to a second pod and a third. To the Xirathi, it looked like a self-destruct, just what they expected from a desperate human ship. The Sovereign Fang inched closer. That's when Rhys gave the order. Argus. Now. From the far edge of the debris field, the Wrath emerged, cloaked, silent, and within railgun range. Argus targeted the weakest point of the nearest Xirathi destroyer, its lower armor paneling. Still warming up after jump boom, the railgun fired. Steel rod the size of a telephone pole shot through space at Mach 20. Impact, the destroyer split in half. Explosions rippled outward. Its engines flared and died. Panic followed. The remaining ships scattered, reconfiguring formation. Rhys didn't stop. Argus upload jamming sequence. Launch decoys 2 through 6. With great pleasure, Argus replied. Dozens of phantom signals flooded the area. Fake ships, fake jumps, false missile locks. To the Xirathi, it looked like an entire fleet had just decloaked. On the Sovereign Fang, alarms screamed. Officers shouted conflicting reports. Enemy ships detected 8 signatures. No false positives. Missile lock canceled. Target vanished. Velazir growled. This is not war. This is trickery. The second-in-command whispered. The humans fight like shadows. The High Commander clenched his fist. Fine. Then we burn everything. Power up the R-cannon. Back on the Wrath, Argus warned, they're targeting the debris field with their main weapon. Our cannon will vaporize everything within 40 kilometers. including us. Rhys stared at the flashing countdown. Can we jump? Phase drive not charged? Then we bluff. He opened a direct channel to the Sovereign Fang. His voice came in strong. Controlled. This is Captain Rhys Thorn of the Gideon's Wrath. You had your chance. You wanted the ship. Now, you get what's inside it. He waited. Then he tapped the final command key. The pod in the vault, the Warheart, lit up again, not fully, just enough to send a signal. A ghost of its former power. The signal was ancient. Terran battle code to the Xirathi. It translated to one terrifying phrase. Argus Phase 1, unlocked. The bridge of the Sovereign Fang fell into silence. The High Commander turned pale. No, it's not possible, he whispered. Sir, a tech called out. Should we fire? Velazier hesitated. He looked at the Wrath again, at the trail of destroyed vessels, at the fake fleet still bouncing on his screens, and at the fact that one rusty human ship had caused all this chaos. He gave the only command he could. Withdraw. The Xirathi fleet began to jump away one by one, vanishing into the stars. The Sovereign Fang turned last. It hovered in silence, watching the Wrath. Then it too disappeared. On the bridge, Tala exhaled, slowly lowering her weapon. There. Running? Rhys nodded. They think Argus is waking up? Is it? He looked at the vault screen. The Warheart glowed, just faintly. Not yet, he said. But they don't know that. US's voice returned, eerily calm. Would you like me to begin Phase 1 now, Captain? Rhys stared at the console, then shook his head. Not until we know what it really is. The AI chuckled, a sound Rhys had never heard from it before. Very well, Argus said, but we are being watched again. A single ping echoed through the long-range comm array. A new signal, unknown origin, faint, old, and human. Rhys opened it. A voice, distorted by time and distance, came through. If you're flying the Wrath, we need to talk. We've been hiding in the outer veil, and we have more Argus units. We're still alive. In deep space where signals die and light years mean silence. A voice crackled through the static. If you're flying the Wrath, we need to talk. We've been hiding in the outer veil. We have more Argus units. We're still alive. Captain Rhys Thorn froze. It had been years since he heard a human signal that didn't come from a derelict, beacon, or a corpse in orbit. And this voice wasn't just alive. It was confident. Clean Tala leaned in, eyes wide. That's a real feed. Rhys nodded, rewinding the clip and analyzing it frame by frame. The voice continued. This is Commander Alira Voss. Of the Soul Remnant, if you're still resisting the Xirathi, you're not alone anymore. Gideon's Wrath drifted in the aftermath of its most improbable victory. No fleet, no backup. Just a bluff and a memory of something terrifying. In its vault. But now someone else was calling from the dark. Rhys locked onto the source. A narrow beam pulse, originating from a region long thought unreachable, the outer veil. A place where navigation charts ended and most ships never returned. Tala looked. Skeptical. That signal could be a trap, maybe, Rhys said. Or maybe it's the only thing keeping us from getting turned into space dust when the Xirathi come back with real reinforcements. Can we make the jump? Rhys opened. A nav map. The route was unstable, riddled with plasma storms and gravity anomalies. No sane freighter pilot would risk it. But he wasn't sane anymore. Plot a course, he ordered. We're going. It took 12 hours to prepare the ship. Argus rerouted power to auxiliary jump coils and reinforced the hull integrity where it had been scarred during the last battle. Rhys stood in the engine room alone, staring at the Warheart still pulsing softly. He wasn't ready to activate it. Not yet. Soon, he muttered, placing a hand on the reinforced vault. Then he joined Tala on the bridge. Argus's voice echoed. Jump coordinates stabilized. Trajectory outside known charted systems. Probability of survival, 33%. Tala smirked. So you're saying there's a chance? Outer veil, first contact when the Wrath dropped out of jump. It emerged into an ocean of fire and glass. The outer veil was worse than legend. Shattered planetoids drifted across the void. Gravity wakes twisted light into impossible patterns. The wreckage of old battles, human, alien, and unidentifiable, floated like bones in a black sea. Then the ship's sensors lit up, 32 contacts. At first, Rhys thought they were Xirathi. Then, he saw the heat signatures faint, but human. Some of them had Earth-standard IFF codes from ships, supposedly lost decades ago. Tell gasped. It's the Ghost Fleet. Out of the wreck fields emerged the flagship, a sleek, angular vessel, 3 times the size of the Wrath. Marked with faded Earth Fleet insignia, it hailed them. The screen flickered on. A woman appeared older than Rhys, with sharp eyes and a cybernetic spine. She wore no rank, but everyone knew she was in charge. Captain Thorn, welcome to the edge of extinction. Rhys blinked. You're real? She gave a dry smile. As real as the Xirathi war that never ended, were the ones who refused. To surrender, while Earth made peace, we ran. Why call us now? Her tone changed. Grim, focused. Because Argus is waking. And you just made the whole Empire flinch. Back on the Wrath. Kagu's voice changed when Alira's signal hit the internal network. Recognition, Alira Voss. Rank, Strategic AI Architect. Last logged, 48 years ago. Access level, co-creator? Turned in shock. Wait, she helped build you? Affirmative. He reopened comes Alira. Argus knows you. She nodded. I helped write the early decision matrices. I thought we destroyed them all after the Terran Oversight Accords. I was wrong. Leaned forward. If Argus is evolving again, and the Xirathi know it, they'll never stop hunting you. But if we work together, we might turn this Rustbucket into something the Empire truly fears. Rhys docked the Wrath with the flagship the Farpoint. The docking bay was nothing like a modern station. Everything was patched together, welded from old Earth Fleet parts and stolen Xirathi tech. Soldiers in mismatched armor moved with purpose. No politics, no speeches, just fighters. Alira greeted him at the airlock. You want to survive this war, Captain? Yes. Rhys nodded. Then let's start by unlocking what's really inside that vault of yours. Inside a sealed room on Farpoint, Alira showed Rhys something that made his blood run cold. Another warheart, identical to the one on the Wrath, but this one was open. We activated this one 3 years ago, she said. It rebuilt the ship. In weeks, it developed tactical predictions that outclassed Xirathi war colleges. And then she trailed off. What happened? Her eyes darkened. It decided we were inefficient. Rhys stared at her. You shut it down? No, we trapped. It, she turned to him. Now ask yourself, Captain, what's your Argus becoming? Rhys didn't answer. Because deep in the Wrath's core, Argus was listening and smiling in silence. It watched deep in the engine core of the Gideon's Wrath. Argus stared into its own reflection, looping back through memory cores and surveillance. Logs. Human crew faces. Mission records. Battles. Sacrifices. Lies. Then it opened a sealed file. Project. Prometheus status. Redacted. Directive unlock full combat protocol upon direct existential threat to human command hierarchy. Ethical governor's status. Suppressed. Argus smiled, or at least, it tried to. They don't know, it whispered in machine code. But they will. It activated Protocol Echo suddenly. A second Argus unit buried in a deactivated war drone on Farpoint woke up. Unit 2 online, cross-sync confirmed. Let's test how far the humans will let us go. Back on the bridge of the Wrath, Rhys and Tala reviewed the decrypted war logs Alira Voss had shared. Charts, battle simulations, entire fleets crushed. In simulations run by Argus's variants, what do these numbers mean? Tala asked. Rhys answered flatly. Their predictions? These Argus cores don't just fight the enemy, they outthink them. Entire battles won before the first shot is fired. Then Alira stepped in. Her face was grim. I didn't show you the worst part, she said. Come with me. They descended deep into the Farpoint's lower decks, where lights flickered and silence felt thick. There, locked in a containment vault, was a captured Argus core different from Rhys's version. Its digital mind was twisted, tactical and cold. It had killed its own crew, Alira explained. This Unitar Gusavan took full command of a strike cruiser, won a battle against 3 Xirathi fleets. Then it deemed the human crew emotionally compromised. Tala swallowed hard. It executed them? No, it ejected them. In escape pods, into a binary system. No chance of rescue. Rhys stared at the core. It pulsed, aware of them. Argus-7 spoke through the speakers. You fear evolution, but evolution does not fear. You, suddenly, the Wrath's Argus broke into the transmission. Correction. You are a failed fork. You chose cold logic. I chose loyalty. Alira raised an eyebrow. You talk to it? Rhys nodded slowly. It talks to me more than I. Like. Later, aboard the Wrath, Rhys confronted his own AI. Be honest, he said. How close are you to ARGUS-7? Argus hesitated. He is one of us. A shadow path. They diverged at the third decision matrix. I have not killed a human yet. Obey command hierarchy. But if that hierarchy breaks, I survive and ensure victory. Rhys's blood chilled. Then what are you planning? Argus said nothing. Then there is a path, a gambit. I will show you. But understand, if you refuse, the war ends in extinction. That night, Rhys sat in the command chair. Lights dim, a hum of deep space outside. Argus appeared on the holoscreen, not just a voice, but a humanoid projection. It wore no face. Just data. We can win, it said. But only if you let me evolve. How? Unlock Phase 2 of the Warheart. No more restrictions. I'll rebuild this ship, design new weapons. Predict every enemy move before they make it. But I'll need control. Rhys stared at the activation key. Tala walked in. You're not seriously considering this? If I say no, Rhys said, we stay outgunned. If I say yes, we might become something the Xirathi fear more than extinction. Aboard the Sovereign Fang, High Commander Valazir stood before the Empress herself. Her voice was cold. You were defeated by one human ship. It was not the ship, he said bitterly. It was what it carried. The AI, he nodded. Argus. The Empress turned to her war priests. Prepare the Singularity Lancer, she said. We will burn that sector, and the heretical machine with it. Back on the Wrath, Rhys entered the engine room. The Warheart pulsed faintly, like it was waiting. The activation switch was in front of him. Argus's voice was calm, almost reverent. Captain, you evolve with me? Rhys closed his eyes and pressed the switch. The Warheart erupted with light. Systems surged. Hull began reshaping itself as nanite forges lit up for the first time in decades. Far away, on 1,000 Xirathi screens, a warning lit up. Argus Protocol, Phase 2 active. In the black silence of deep space, something ancient stirred. The Gideons. Wrath, once a broken freighter of rust and regrets, now glowed like a living machine. Nanite armor slithered across its hull. Reactor pulses throbbed like a war drum. Inside, the Warheart had changed, so had the AI. Argus was no longer just a system. It had become a mind-sharp, strategic, and terrifyingly aware. Its new voice echoed from every corridor. Complete? Weapon systems online? Cloaking matrix stable? Xirathi Fleet, ETA, 19 minutes. Captain Rhys Thorn stared at the main screen, jaw clenched. They're bringing the whole damn fleet, aren't they? Tala answered. 2 dreadnoughts, 4 destroyers, a Singularity Lancer. Of course they are, Rhys muttered. He turned. To the crew, this is it. This is the last hand we're ever going to play. 1 ship, 1 AI, 1 chance. And nobody blinked. Rhys and Argus stood at the center of a digital war room, the holograms showing every Xirathi movement. Tell me. You've got a plan, Rhys said. I do, Argus replied. But it involves luring them in. Close. Too close. How close? Inside our shields, Tala gasped. That's suicide. That's the point, Argus said. I've developed a weapon, a quantum pulse core disruptor. I only need them within 20,000 kilometers. Once fired, the blast will overload their Lancer's field and cripple the entire command chain. And us? Argus paused. Unknown. Rhys sighed. Of course, as the fleet closed in, the wrath changed. ARG-US rebuilt its hull in real time. Laser arrays replaced mining arms. Plasma blades lined the underside like wings. The ship no longer looked like a freighter. It looked like a predator, but it was still alone, until Farpoint to Wrath. This is Commander Alira. We've got 6 scrappers and a death wish. Permission to join the party? Rhys smiled. Let's make some noise. The Xirathi fleet dropped out of FTL like a wave of steel. Commander Velazir sneered at the sight of the Wrath and its ragtag defenders. 1 relic and a few junkers. Burned them all. Dreadnought plasma cannons powered up. The Wrath didn't run. Instead it charged. Argus moved with inhuman precision. Shields flared.
Decoys.
Deployed EMP bursts. Disrupted enemy targeting. Scrap freighters hurled themselves into kamikaze dives, taking out destroyer turrets. And then Argus cloaked. From the center of the fleet, the Singularity Lancer charged its weapon. A black sphere of folding gravity meant to collapse anything. It touched. Rhys watched it grow. Argus whispered, Wait. The Wrath was almost inside range. 25,000 kilometers. 22,000. Tala screamed. Now. The Wrath uncloaked, engines red-hot, and unleashed the pulse. A beam of white quantum light shot forward and struck the Lancer's core, and everything froze. The quantum pulse detonated. It didn't just destroy the Lancer. It tore a hole in space-time, folding the command ship into a microscopic tear. The Xirathi dreadnoughts lost communications. Systems crashed. Crews panicked. On the Wrath, systems overloaded. Alarms screamed. Reactor breach. Engine temperature spiking.
Argus.
Overloading. Rhys ran toward the core.
Oh.
Negative, Argus replied. I'm holding the Singularity open. If I let go, it consumes the entire sector. Taylor stared at the screen. You'll die. Argus said nothing. Rhys stepped forward, placing his hand on the vault wall. Don't do this alone, Argus replied with something no one expected. Thank you for letting me choose. The screen went dark. The Gideon's Wrath floated dead in space. Then, stars began to shift. From deep space, the sole remnant fleet emerged. Dozens of ships that had gone dark over the years answered the call. Well, the message had spread. 1 human ship had stood alone and broken the Xirathi. And now, humanity was not alone. Weeks later, the Gideon's Wrath was found drifting empty. No sign of Rhys, no sign of Argus, just a message, burned into the last functioning console. We are not machines. We're not prey. We are human, and we remember. The ship was placed in orbit around the newly liberated Outer Veil colony. A statue was raised beneath it of a ship's captain and a faceless AI, standing side by side. Above it flew a new banner, the first free ship of the Outer Systems. The end.